really, if you're able to make friends this way, the friends that you have will probably be scared of you. They'll 50% of be in a relationship with you because they're afraid of disappointing you or something like that. But they generally will not be good long-term friends. You're also going to get a lot of people that betray you because they don't like you and they are waiting for you to fall and they secretly enjoy when you fall. And you might get some short-term victories, but it's really counterproductive in the long run. Okay, like I said, you can get away with a lot of aggression when you have position. Okay, and by position I mean you have position in the social hierarchy. So you're the quarterback in high school, or you're the boss at work. You can get away with a lot of nasty behavior, but it's really not necessary, and it's actually counterproductive. Like, you could still be a leader at work without the aggression and get way better results, way better results. And people aren't going to quit. You're not going to have to fire as many people. You're not going to have as many conflicts, right? And the aggression overall is just it's not a good long game, and it causes a lot of bounce back that is unnecessary. Okay, and that's for guys who are naturally like big guys, dominant alpha guys. But some of the worst offenders that I've found are the recovering, and I'm using recovering in quotations, and I'm using beta males in quotations. So this was like the guy who's reading stuff on the internet of the men's movement. He's like, I'm not going to be the nice guy anymore. But he does it in such an uncalibrated way that instead of saying, well, I'm going to stand up for myself, what actually happens is the guy becomes aggressive, and it's uncalibrated. So you've got, a skinny guy who perhaps wasn't popular growing up, and now he's coming off as aggressive, and it's really uncalibrated. It's just like, instead of being intimidated, people sort of think, what's wrong with that guy? Why is that guy so angry? And it is, the guy's actually better off when he was back being that nice guy, because now he's going to be alienating a lot of people. Okay, so I see that a lot, or I read that a lot in the comments of the men's movement, and that's not a good way to be either. Okay, so any type of aggression is a bad way to sell on influencing people. Number 3 is neediness. Okay, that's another mistake that people make. These are the guys who want. They always want something. All they can see is what they want, and they don't hesitate to ask for it consistently. In fact, they'll ask for it right off the gate. They're value leeches, and instead of influencing people, they repel people. For the first 4 years of RLD, I answered every single email, but I stopped answering emails completely because 90% of the emails that I got, 10% of you guys are terrific and really good stuff, but 90% of the emails I was getting were people who were just, writing me these essays, with urgent in the title. I need help with this girl. You have to read this right now. And just an essay with like 100 questions in it, just asking value, right? For me, if I want something from someone that I'm reading, I will just ask them, how much is your hourly rate, right? I'm gonna give that value, and then see if the guy is going to offer me the value back in return. So, and maybe these aren't bad guys, they just don't know. They don't know that neediness actually repels people. Okay, you want to be adding value, not taking value. If you are in a social situation and your first instinct is to take value, you're really fucking up. You're really like, you've repelled so many people and you don't even realize it. Okay, it's a very important thing to be aware of, and I'm not trying to insult anybody, but that's just a reality of it. Okay, so that's number 3. And number 4, the mistake is just lack of interest. So the guys with the lack of interest are aware of how social interactions work. They just don't care enough to put in the effort. They'll just show up, be low energy. They understand what's going on in the interaction. There's just not enough payoff for them to put in the effort. And that is not a bad thing per se. It's just neutral. So they're not going to lose friends or repel people, but they're also not going to be able to easily gain friends, and they're also not going to be able to have strong influence over people. Okay, and that's not the worst way to be. But if you want to be living at an optimized higher level and be able to make a lot of friends and be able to influence a lot of people, then that's not your best bet. So doing any of those four things on a consistent basis is not a good way to be. And for three of those things, you are destroying your social and your business prospects. And you might have been doing that for like the last 20 years. If you're wondering why things maybe haven't been going the way that you wanted to, take a look and examine your social interactions and see if you fit any of those bills, okay? Are you aggressive? Are you overly needy? Are you not focusing and not being aware of social interactions? Are you sitting there just being neutral when you could be adding value and influencing people? Okay. Doing those four things is a big problem, especially if you're dealing with high value people. All right. If you're dealing with someone who's got a lot of things going on or a big client with a lot of money, they don't have time for like just one of those mistakes, right? One time you argue with the guy, if I was going to argue with my client back when I was a salesman, one time, that could have been it, right? That could have been the end of a guy who's giving me $10,000 a month, right? From one argument, he would go to my competitor because he has that much value, right? Same thing with a guy who's got a lot going on. Like, in my business, one of the biggest guys is Tim Ferriss. If Tim Ferriss was sitting down talking to me, I would treat him like absolute gold, right? Because that guy has so much value to me that could be offered to me. I would make sure not to make any mistake. I would be making that guy feel great, everything, right? Because one mistake, a million people are asking for that dude's time. A million bloggers or personal development guys want to talk to Tim Ferriss, right? One mistake, he could just be like, all right, I'm done with this. Okay. That's the reality of it. All right. Not only that, it's just fucking low consciousness living, right? I like to be around happy people, happy, positive interactions. And this is the smart way to live. So again, like I keep telling you guys, life is sales. You're always selling, whether you believe it or not. And there's nothing beta about being nice and charming and complimenting people. Okay. The most quote unquote alpha guys I met were also the best salesmen, and they're hands down the most charming people you meet. They can make you feel like $1 million if they want to, just by turning it on like that, right? And they don't get their way by fucking bullying and all these other negative things. It's by exactly what Dale Carnegie tells you to do, okay? Exactly what he tells you to do. So without further ado, like the old saying goes, you catch more flies with honey, all right? And like your mom used to tell you, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. So unless someone is fucking with you, that's when you drop the hammer. But at that point, it's beyond winning friends and influencing people. That's like a last resort. Like someone's fucking with you, okay, you can drop the hammer on them, but then that interaction is going to be over, and you're going to ruin whatever chance you have as a friendship. So make sure if you're dropping the hammer on someone, it's like, okay, this is done. They've caused me pain, so I'm going to get back at them. But it's not while you're still trying to build a relationship, okay? Because it just doesn't work that way. So, if you don't believe what I'm saying, go try and earn a living in sales. Please do that. Please do that, where literally the wrong word, one wrong sentence, and you lose a client, and then that means you miss your target, and you're 2 to 3 months away from getting fired at any given time. So literally one wrong sentence means you might miss your target for that month, which means you miss your quarter, which means you're fired, right? It's that black and white. But most people don't know that because they've never had anything riding on their social interaction, or at least they didn't realize there was something riding on it, right? When there's actual money and your job is riding on, you see how fucking serious this stuff is. And like every time you put out something negative, that something negative comes back to you, even if it's a small thing. And even if you don't see the guy's reaction right away, he's still picking up on that. And every time you put out something positive is coming back to you. Okay? It's really that simple. All right. So with that said, that's the case for it. Now I'm going to give you the rules of Mr. Dale Carnegie and his How to Win Friends and Influence People. So the first section of the book is divided into fundamental techniques in handling people. And the beautiful thing about this book is I can take his points word for word, and not one of them is wrong. The majority of books, I'll take 1 or 2 points away. every single thing in this book is right, and I'm gonna use his bullet points word for word because they're so fucking good. Okay, read this book once, twice, read it every month, read it as many times as you have to until you do everything that he says, because it's that